Hello, dear students, and welcome back to the second part of the third chapter of history, that is Neolithic farmers and herders. So, students, in the previous part, we learned about the Neolithic age and the major progress that took place in the Neolithic age. We have seen that how early humans became food producer from hunters and gatherers. We have also seen that the process of farming was also improving and gradually increasing or expanding throughout the subcontinents, or we can say throughout the world. Nextly, we have seen the invention of wheel also. We have seen that how the tools of Neolithic period were different with the Paleolithic and Mesolithic age. We have seen that the polished stone tools started producing by the early humans, and we have also seen that since the process of farming was expanding at that time, so the basically the tools that were useful for the farming purposes came into existence. We have also seen that as the farming expanded, people started producing potteries, pots, vessels for storing their food or for serving their food. We have seen the megaliths. Megaliths were the places where the burials, or these were the burial sites where people used to bury their dead ones. Now we will see further further features of the Neolithic age, and among those features, the first one was the social life. That means, what was the social life of the early humans at that time, how they were living. So basically, the life of the early human was like that. They used to live in groups. Like in the previous part only, we have seen that since they started doing agriculture or farming, they started settling at one place for the protection of their fields where they used to grow crops. So basically, they used to live in groups. Why they used to live in groups? So that they can protect themselves in the negative conditions, for so that in case of any wild animals attack or any calamity, they can preserve themselves or protect themselves. All of us are knowing that unity is needed. So basically, they used to live in groups to protect themselves and their animals from the wild animals attack. Nextly, they moved from one place to another with their animals. Now, they were the herders. They rear pet animals, and sometimes they have to move from one place to another with their pet animals, so that or for the food of their pet animals. Basically, each group of the early humans consist of male, women, and children, and some domesticated animals. So, the group of human beings or the early human basically was made up of, there were females, males, children, and some domesticated animals also. Now, from this time only, the concept of division of labor came into existence. Now, what is division of labor? Labor means the work that they were doing. They were doing farming, they were making tools also, they were rearing their animals also. They started producing clothes also, they were making pot and vessels also. So now the early humans were having lots of work to do, and that is why the concept of division of labor came into existence. That means that everyone now will have one responsibility what they have to do. Suppose that the women were responsible for taking care of the children and light agricultural tasks. They were responsible for grinding the grains for the food. They take care of the children at home, and they also take care of the agricultural field. So this was the work of the women at that time. Now, what was the work of the males? Males used to take the animals for the in search of the fodder, or they take care of the animals and they move to the forest for hunting for the meat and other purposes. Both men and women took part in pot making, weaving, and making tools, weapons, and ornament. Basically, all were having the responsibility of making the pot, weaving also, weaving clothes, making tools, weapons and ornaments. So from here only, as now the community started establishing, the number of people started increasing, the population started increasing, so the concept of division of labor came into existence. And we have also seen that the families, those who were living together, we have seen that number of families were living together in a village, and that village was the place that follows same custom and same belief. So that village was having, or those group of families, that is tribe, were having one leader, and that leader is also only known as tribal chief. That what is tribe? Tribe was the group of families that follow same practices and customs or beliefs, and the leader of the tribe was tribal chief. So like this only, the division of labor became more organized. Each and every member in the group was given a specific task. Some cultivated the fields, some had to look after the animals, and some were given the task of making different tools. So the life became more comfortable for the early humans, and they started living at one place. Now, one more thing came into existence. You have seen that they used to bury their dead ones. Sometimes, in case of small children, when the children were very small and if they died, they used to bury that child in urn. Urn means in earthen pots. They used to keep the child in that earthen pot, and then they used to bury it into the ground. Cremation ceremony was also practiced at that time. Basically, we have also seen that they used to keep the things or the useful things or food grains with the dead body, because they believe that there is life after death also. Now, as the farming also increases and they started producing milk, meat, clothes, everything, now there was a new system started, that was the system of exchange. When the people started producing more, whosoever in need of things, they started exchanging. Like, this was only known as barter system. At that time there was no currency or money, so people used to exchange things. Like this, you can see in the picture that a person wants what I want will be exchanged by the other person that he needed. So basically, grains were exchanged with cows, and all those things came into existence. And this was the concept of barter system. So basically, the earliest system of exchange was the barter system. From here only, the buying and selling started. Now, you can see the tools. They made jewelry with bones and shells. Their jewelry also improved, and they started making jewelries with bones, shells, and gemstones also. The stones that are very shinier and that they dig out from the earth. So basically, they started making jewelries with gemstones also. Like we have diamond and all those stones. Later on in the Chalcolithic age, when they discovered copper, they started making copper tools and ornaments also. Now, people began wearing cotton and woolen clothes. Since the process of weaving also started, I have shown you in the previous part the spindles and needles. People started weaving their clothes in this period, and they started wearing woven clothes. You can see in the cold places they used to rear sheep, and they may use the fur of the sheep for making woolen clothes, and cotton was also produced at that time. Since at many places, due to the availability of the black soil, people started cultivating cotton also. So basically, wheat, barley, rice, later on lentils also they started producing, and cotton also. So they started using cottons for weaving clothes. Religion, what they practice. So the religious life of the early human. Religion came like today we are worshipping different gods. At that time there was no concept of religion, and there was no, they were not knowing about any god. Different gods are created by us only. So basically, at that time, several natural calamities used to took place, like today also rainfall, lightning, earthquake, and weather changes. So by that only, they were afraid of those natural calamity, and because they were afraid of those natural calamities, they started worshipping those things. Like rainfall is necessary for the purpose of farming. So they started worshipping rain god, as they started worshipping rain as god. That means if they will pray, then rainfall will happen. Now they started worshipping sun also, like in the colder weathers when the weather was very cold. So at that time they started worshipping sun. So like this only they started worshipping nature. They believe in nature and they were afraid of nature only. That is why they started worshipping nature. Their god was sky, sun, rain, and other like plant, trees. All these things were worshipped by them. They worshipped water, fire, rain, and thunder also, as also the sun, the earth, and the stars. Now, we will learn about some major Neolithic sites, and in these sites, we will learn about Mehargarh, Purzahom, and Daujali heading. All these sites were famous for their special features. So, first, we are going to look upon Mehargarh. So Mehargarh is located in a fertile plain near the Bolan Pass in Pakistan. Nowadays, Mehargarh is in Pakistan. It is one of the most important route linking India and Iran. Mehargarh was one of the places where women and men learned to grow crop such as barley, wheat and cotton. Now from Mehargarh there were many evidences our historians have been found. Fossils of the barley and wheat crops have been found by the historians. They used to rear cattle like sheep, goats, and buffaloes. Now, how historians are saying that the people of Mehargarh used to rear cattle like sheep, goats, and buffaloes because their skeletons have been found from the earth during the excavations. The skeleton of these animals have been found under the earth. Now, the houses, the speciality of Mehargarh was its houses. We used to say that world's oldest city was Mehargarh. People started making houses in Mehargarh in rectangular and square shape. These houses were made of mud and mud bricks. They used to, like we used to make brick wall first and then we used to plaster it with the cement. At that time they used to make brick wall with the help of mud, and they used to plaster it with mud. Each house has several rooms, some of which may have been used for storage. Like today we are having several rooms in our houses. At that time in Mehargarh the evidences of these type of houses came into being while the excavation. Like see the houses, how the houses were made. Door were also there, windows were also there, bricks, as it is shown here that the wall was made up of bricks and then it is plastered with mud. The roof was also formed with the help of thatch, and wooden poles were put for the support of the thatch. Door and gateways were also there. So basically a well modern type of house was existed during that time. Like today we use baked brick. At that time baked bricks were not there. They used to use mud bricks like that only. At Mehargarh, microliths and bone tools have been found. From here, microliths, small tools, that Mesolithic tools and bone tools have also been found. Stone and slabs have also been found here. These were probably used for grinding. Mortar and pestles have also been found here. The people of the Mehargarh used to make pottery on the potter's wheel. Since wheel's invention took place, this place proves that the shapes of the pottery is very fine. They are very beautiful. By that only they come to know that these pots were made by early humans with the help of potter's wheel. They also designed their pot. As you can see, they used to color their pots and they used to make different designs on their pots. People usually buried their dead in pits. They like that only people used to bury their dead in pits, sometimes with domestic animals also. The domestic animals that were reared by that person, people used to bury the domestic animals with that person. Several burial sites have been found at Mehargarh. The dead person was buried with goats, which were probably meant to serve as food in the next world. Many sites have been found that where the skeleton of human is there, around that skeleton, many things have been found during the excavation, which proves that they believe in life after death. The earliest example of tooth drilling, as we can see in the picture, tooth drilling, that means like today we are having, if our tooth decay, we used to, the examples of tooth drilling also came from the Mehargarh only. Mehargarh was famous for this only, for the example of tooth drilling. Now the next two sites are Burzahom and the next is Daujali heading. So Burzahom is in Jammu and Kashmir. I have explained you earlier also. Burzahom is famous for its pit dwelling. Dwelling means houses where the people live, and pit means, I have explained you, they used to dig the ground for making their houses. Daujali heading is in Assam, and Daujali heading is famous for its unique style of pottery. So where is Burzahom? Burzahom is in present day. Burzahom is in Jammu and Kashmir, and it is the first Neolithic site discovered in India. That one Mehargarh is in Pakistan, but this Neolithic site or Burzahom is in India. So this is the first Neolithic site that was discovered in India. Burzahom is famous for its pit dwelling. As you can see, these are the pit dwellings. I have explained you in the previous part also. These are the pit dwellings where people used to live. So basically pit dwellings have been found from Burzahom. Now Daujali heading is located near the Brahmaputra river in Assam. Daujali heading is in Assam, and it is famous for its unique style of pots. Daujali heading stone tools including mortars and pestles have also been found from this site, and this indicate that people were probably growing grains and preparing food from it. At Daujali heading, land was cleared by burning forest for the agricultural purpose. Early humans used to burn the forest. Like we have learned about slash and burn agriculture, like the people, those who live in the forest or the tribal people, used to follow slash and burn method. That means first they used to burn the forest area or the trees, and then they clear the area for the purpose of farming. People of Daujali heading used mud stones and slabs for preparing food from grains and vegetables. At Daujali heading, pots were shaped with tools wrapped in cords. These pots bear cord marks. Now, why Daujali heading is famous? Because the pots of Daujali heading are having the markings. So, these are known as cord marks. These marks are known as cord marks. So basically these pots were shaped with tools wrapped in cords. Now next we are going to see the Chalcolithic age. So what was the Chalcolithic age? After the Neolithic age, or during the Neolithic age only, early humans discovered a metal. That metal was copper. So that is why this period is known as Chalcolithic age. Now, what is Chalcolithic age? It is also formed by two Greek words. Chalco is formed from chalcos, and the meaning of chalcos is copper. Later on, the lithic, that is formed from lithos, and it is known as stone. So what is Chalcolithic age? Chalcolithic age was copper stone age. That means a new metal was discovered during this period, that was copper, and people started using copper for making their tools along with the stones. This period is known as Copper Stone Age. This period was started during 4000 years ago and ended in 1700 years ago. Now we will see why it is known as Chalcolithic age. So a new kind of metal, when early humans were digging out the earth, they came to know about a new kind of metal. When they melt this metal, means sometimes maybe this metal fall into fire. So from that only they come to know that this metal can melt, and they can give any shape to this metal for making their ornaments and tools. So when people started using copper, that period only marked as Chalcolithic age. The discovery of copper marked the beginning of copper stone age in India. In world, early humans began to make tools by copper and stone. And why it is known as copper stone age? Because during this time early humans were using copper with the help of stone. Now in the wooden handles they used to put sharp copper edges so that the tools became more sharper. Copper tools were sharper and better than stone tools. These copper tools were sharper and better than the stone tools. But copper was not strong enough to build weapons. And later on, what happened while digging out the earth? Copper was also used for making potteries and utensils. Copper is very soft. Copper is used nowadays. Basically copper is used for the electricity purposes in the electric wires. You have seen that metal color wires are there in the at our houses. Now next we will see that since copper was not that strong for making the weapons, so one more early humans came to know about one more metal, that was tin. So they started adding copper and tin. They melt copper and they melt tin and they mixed it. And after they mixed copper and tin, a new metal was came into existence, that was bronze. Bronze was harder and more durable in comparison to copper. So the tin make it more stronger. Now they started making bronze tools, and bronze was harder than copper and stone, more durable and stronger. So when they started mixing copper with tin, a new kind of tool came into, or metal came into existence, that was bronze. So they started making tools with bronze because bronze was more harder or harder than copper and stone. These tools were sharper also and they are more durable also. They are long lasting. Their edge do not end while using. So, this chapter is over now, and we have learned about Neolithic and the Chalcolithic age in this period, in this chapter. Here are some understanding based questions. First is, when was the invention of wheel took place? You have to write the answer. What are megaliths? What was Chalcolithic age? What were the two major progresses during the Neolithic age? Which was the first animal tamed by early humans? And for what the Neolithic site Burj Home is famous? This is all for the third chapter of history, and this chapter is over now. So we have completed 3 chapters in history till now. Just watch the video carefully and fill your exercises and write question answers in your copy. Thank you, students.